Okay. All right. Good. So today we're gonna talk about desire.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
Desire and also conflicting desires. Okay. So one thing that a lot of couples are up against when it comes to the topic of desire is this idea that like, oh, our desires don't align and don't match up. And before we start with that, I want to like say that like often this particular thing comes like I want to preface this topic by saying like the understanding of desire that Sasha and I have and that we live by is there's sort of a bunch of different types of desire. And generally speaking, we are saying often that like desire is actually co-arising. Co-arising means that like there is a connection in our desire. There is like when I want something, it's likely that my partner wants it too. Now, this is kind of hard to understand that sometimes because people are like, oh, well, like that's not the truth for us because I want to go skiing and love the mountains, and my partner is more of a beach kind of like holiday person. Okay, so therefore, like our desires don't align. So, and I want to address that particular issue and why that comes up and why that like confuses people. So when we talk about desire, we talk about an energy of desire. Okay, like an energy of being in your desire. And what people often understand as desire is um, their material desires, the things that they would like to have and acquire in their life. And they are often those material desires and those even experiences. I would put an experience also into that category of material desire. It's like it's something that I want to experience and it's out there and I want to have it and I'm separate from it right now. So I would like to like save the money and then I buy myself this thing. And those are not necessarily co-arising. Like let's say I want to have a new tool and Sasha wants to have a new phone. Like we don't all want the same things. We have like differences in what we want or the experience that we want to have. But what's co-arising is for example a mutual desire to be connected in the relationship, a mutual desire to have some flow, have some form of flow in the relationship. There is an energy of desire that we are talking about, and you can be in that energy of desire, or you can be out of the energy of desire. Um, and then very briefly, there's a third, I would say a third category of desire that I want to touch briefly on. And if any one of you is like somewhat familiar with Buddhism, like in Buddhism, they call it a hungry ghost. Um, that is sort of like a desire that is created in our brains through craving. Like craving is a form of desire too. Like if I have an addiction and I constantly crave something, that's a form of desire, just that like it doesn't matter how much you would get, much you would get, you would never be satiated. Like you could, if you were addicted to cigarettes, that hungry ghost desire would be the craving for cigarettes. You could smoke as much cigarettes as you wanted to, but you wouldn't feel satiated. Like tomorrow you would want to smoke another cigarette. It's kind of like that. That's a hungry ghost desire. And they can also manifest in many ways. And in relationship, I would say like one of the hungry ghosts that we can often come across is in like the craving. I think especially like often men have that one, the craving for sex. Like I crave sex, but then we would have sex and then I want it right away again because it doesn't really satiate something else. And what is that something else? It's an actual desire. Like the actual desire isn't understood, isn't touched, and therefore I create a a compensatory desire. And that's really what that is. A hungry ghost is a compensatory desire. It's like I'm hungry, but I don't want to acknowledge that I'm hungry, and so I'm eating cotton candy. But the cotton candy wouldn't ever, like you could eat enough cotton candy would never make you feel full. Or cotton balls, right? Like you could eat cotton balls and it would be the same.
Delicious. I want to jump in and say that if you haven't done a lot of work with desire, there are maybe not hungry ghost, although I think like my belief is that we have to get into relationship with desire, and we have to do this by spending time in different locations. So for me as a woman, I have a lot of, I've definitely had a period of time in my life where it was really hard for me to hear and identify my own desires. And at that time, there was a whole phase I went through. It was really important for me to identify material desires, hear them, listen to them, act on them, satiate them. And that actually guides me towards better understanding what you just called actual desire, but like um, desire for like how you want to feel. When I think of desire inside of feminine work, it's really about the things that co-arise in relationship are how we want to feel with each other, how we want to feel in our living environment, how we want to feel in our vision for our relationship. And we have other desires along the way that guide us there, right? Like his material desires and my material desires might be a part of leading us to really understand and deepen and move towards having um our long-term desires, like how we want to feel. So it's not to say that like material desire is a place you should never examine. And if you haven't done any work on desire, it's definitely an important location on the
Mhm.
map.
And I think like a very famous, kind of rather famous like slogan, so to say, goes along with this, which is like it's about the journey, it's not about the goal. And I would say like you might try and like figure out where you're gonna go to holiday, and you have differences in what you want. But here's the thing to pay attention to. The desire that we're talking to is present time. It's what's happening in this moment, okay? And what's happening in this moment is the journey. It's not, and this is where like we get into outcomes, into the goal, right? Like often we are goal oriented, and that's really when we so focused on the goal, that's what takes us in our relationships into the troubled zone. It's what we fight over. It's what we have arguments over. But we could have differences in our outcomes, what we desire, a desired outcome, and still be connected to the journey, like actually enjoy getting to this outcome or not getting to this outcome, but we are figuring that out. And that is really the quality of desire that we are talking about.
I like to think of it as a compass, right? And when you think about being in the present time, the compass is like it tells you, oh, this is the direction I want to go, right? But it's not so much about like, well, what am I going to see when I'm there? It's more like desire helps me figure out what are the steps I need to take on the path? Which path is the right path for me? How do I feel while I'm walking that path? All of those things are connected to desire. So I think the compass metaphor is really helpful because you're always interacting with your compass, and the compass might change based on the direction you're facing or like what you're feeling or like what's happening in life. And how I interact with the compass today and tomorrow will be different because I'm different, right? But I have it with me always, right? So desire, you carry it with you always. It helps you know which direction to go, and the way that you interact with your desire is going to be different from day to day because who I am today and what I want and what I'm able to tap into in myself is going to be different today than it is tomorrow. But I'm still using my desire to help guide me. I'm still using my desire to help me know how do I want to navigate on the path of
Mhm.
communicating and leading towards what I want to create in my life.
Right. So this compass, okay, like we could look at this as like there's a horizon. We want to get somewhere. Like we all have somewhat a direction. But if the outcome is a rigid outcome, what happens is we gonna invite frustration into our relationship. We're gonna invite disappointment in our relationship. We're gonna invite imp
Blame, resentment.
blame, resentment, impatience, all of those things. But okay, we can't take these things entirely off because off the table. Because if we do so, then we sort of like we're just hanging out. We're just really not doing anything. And I think a lot of that might work at some point in some stage in your life, but I think a lot of people, a lot of couples, young couples like us, desire to be in purpose. Okay, like especially men, we desire to be in purpose. And the thing is this, the um the where the boys are being separated from the men is really, I have somewhat a direction, but I don't control the outcome. Like I know I'm going to, let's say we're having sex and I'm going to like go down on my partner and I want to stroke her in a certain way. That is me actually like putting in action, like based on intuition, what's the next right thing. And I can lead my entire life like this. Like I walk on my land and I think about what's the next thing, but I am detached from it leading to a particular outcome.
Mm.
Like my work is actually the journey, and I am dedicated, I am committed, I am passionate about the work, but I'm trying to always identify when does it crystallize into this expectation, into this goal. Because core desire the core desire is for me as a man to be in purpose, to be in service to this present moment. But I want you guys to pay attention to when does that crystallize into an expectation that is somewhat out there on the time horizon, where I'm saying like, okay, this has to lead to money, or this has to lead to this or that outcome, because this is also what gets us, and women do that too. This is what gets us into the never-ending logistics conversations where we like fix one problem after another. And it's really that place where you start running dry. Like you and what runs dry? It's the joy of the moment. It's the actual desires running dry because the actual desire got replaced for some future-based materialistic outcome that is now running the show and is ultimately quenching away all the it's quenching away your actual desire, which is you can always assume there's always a desire for connection, there's a desire for love and affection, there's a desire for play, there's a desire for freedom, there's a desire for.
I'm stuck on the word quenching. Can you say that in another way? I don't know what you mean.
It creates a bottleneck on the
Uh-huh.
actual desires that feed us.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, you can come up with a bunch of other ones. The desire for novelty and the desire
Mm.
for adventure are also very important, I think, in relationship. If they fall away, we are in a rut, in a monotony, and no one really wants to be there. Like novelty, the unknown, all of those adventure, those are actual desires that we have as human. And if they are not present, we start to feel dull in our because our brain, it's kind of like those things are qualities that our brain needs. It's like as if you would sit on the couch and the body doesn't get movement. The
Yeah.
same goes for those things for
I
the
want
brain.
to I want to speak to something that I know happens for women, and I think this happens for men too. A lot of times when we hear the word desire, we think about desire. Someone says, "What do you want?" Right? Or even your partner can say, "What do you want?" And um, a lot of women have this voice come up immediately that says, "You can't have that. That's too much. He won't like you if you say you want that." And instead of even hearing those limiting voices, what we come up with is, I don't know. And we truly believe that we don't know what we want or we're not in relationship with our desire and we need to go think about it and we need to go figure it out. And it's a very heady place to be. And so I'm just naming this because I think it is very real when we think about, okay, like, how do I want to feel? What do I want to have from this experience? And our first thought is like, I don't know, or I feel tight, or I feel constricted around desire. You can know that you have already had a self-judgment of, I shouldn't want that, I can't want that, I'm going to be too much if I say that, my desire is wrong, I should want what that other woman wants. A lot of comparing ourselves to other people. If he knows how much I want, he's going to be intimidated, he's going to feel responsible for like manifesting the money instantly. And if so, I have to like protect everyone around me from how much desire there actually is. And I would say, like, this is another location on the map that every woman I know who's ever worked with desire has gone through at some point, is really learning how to stop the self-judgment that keeps us from being in relationship with our own desire. And so if you're in that location where you have the thought, I don't know what I want, or um I can't say what I want right now, or like I know it, but I'm afraid to say it. You know, it's like it's hard to get underneath that. Um, a lot of times it comes from self-judgment. And I like, one exercise that you can do there is stopping, slowing down. You know, if you're in a conversation with someone else who's asking you what you want, closing your eyes, connecting with your body, because what you want doesn't start up here. If you're starting in your head, you're missing the signals that are coming from the body. And especially, I mean, I think this is a really well um painted in examples of your partner asking you in sex, what do you want? Because it's very easy to say, oh, what do you want? And then go directly into my head to think about what I want and make a judgment about whether or not I can ask for it before I'm feeling. And so I just want to invite you guys to remember, and like especially women who are listening to this, to remember um to come back to the body and really get curious with your body and listen, because your body is often giving you so many messages about what you want, what your desire is. And there we tend to just use our fear to manage it, right? A fear of abandonment, fear of being alone, fear of our partner judging us, fear of somebody not getting it. And then we do all this censoring. So I just want to name that, like, if the I don't know voice is one that comes up for you a lot, I recommend stopping, slowing down, coming out of your head and getting back into the body to really ask, like, what am I feeling right now? And 9 times out of 10, when I ask a woman this question in person and she drops into her body, she will immediately get emotional and tear up and like start to feel how much desire there is, or start to feel how afraid she is that she can't have the thing that she wants. And so
Mhm.
just to name, like, if you are like, I don't have a problem with this, you might not be feeling all the way into your body unless you've been on a journey with this for a while and you've like already made it through that location. That's one that I had to go through um regularly for years. It took me like, I would say, like at least 7 or 8 years of having a regular practice of like really asking, what do I want? What do I want? Over and over again before I was able to drop in easily and like feel it and then be able to name it.
Right. Um, this gives me another idea because so I want to iterate on this, especially I think for the men, because the I'm gonna for a moment like just step into a stereotypical way of looking at relationship, where let's say like the woman is feminine and the man is masculine. Okay, the woman is like the receiver and the man is the leader. Okay, let's just assume that particular set of polarity for a moment. And you can flip this around if you desire, but for the sake of explaining this, it's important that we look at it from that angle. I would almost say, let's to be in when you are in bed with each other, to not ask actually what do you want, Because what happens is when you ask as a man, like, what do you want to your partner? She can't actually answer that question. What you will get is again, it's an outcome-based, heady response. That is again like, oh, I want an orgasm, or I want you to massage my feet. But it creates a bottleneck on like, this is what has to be done. This is it be done right? Oh, I don't enjoy that. I'm not enjoying this right now, but I can't tell him because I've asked for this. It opens a book of all sorts of problems to intellectualize the experience. And in a particular partner practice that Sasha and I used to do for years, you wouldn't ask, what do you want? But you would actually, as the man, you would hold the experience entirely. And all you would maybe sometimes do if you're unsure is like, would you like me to go a little slower? Or would you like me to stroke you a little bit more to the left? So that all the woman has to say in that moment is yes or no. But she doesn't get to, she's not the leader of the experience. She's not the how. She's not like telling you what to do. And I I would say what's really powerful is more, and this is the thing, is like for a man to dare to not know what you're doing, to for a man to not have a plan, because we men, I think we are terrified of that. We are terrified to like, if you might be like, oh, I'm an adventurer, I'm not terrified of this, but let me put this to you. Don't set an alarm in the morning when you wake up. Like, just see when do you wake up naturally, and then don't have a plan for that day, but just like dangle into your day and see how it's going. And if that's not terrifying enough yet, then continue doing that thing on the next day, and on the next day, and then on the next day. And most men, at some point, you will hit a huge fear where you're like, this isn't leading me anywhere. Right? But the thing is, if you penetrate this as a man, it does eventually lead you somewhere, because there's an entirely different quality where there's a part of you that starts to eventually play. And this play is highly productive. And when you do that, you have to actually be guided by your senses. And these senses are extremely fulfilling to your actual desire and to your partner's desire, because they meet connection, they meet play, they meet adventure, they meet all of the things that are truly the thing that fulfills us, rather than these heady outcomes that lead us into all of the problems that we are constantly seeing. And now, if I take this into the realm of sex, the the best sex that I have, or that we have, is when I'm like, oh, you know what? I have desire to do this to you right now. And all that Sasha does is lay down, and I do it while being at constant risk that I'm doing it wrong. But because I can do it wrong, I'm also in the constant inquiry of like, how does this feel? How does that feel? How do I want to feel next? And I'm guided by how do I want to feel right now? And I'm in my body. And I'm starting to actually take the experience in. It starts to feed my craving for sex that usually is never feedable. And the same goes for her. She's fed in a way that she's never been fed before. And in that experience, it's a constant inquiry, like, how does it feel to us? Does it still feel good? Or do we want to have an adjustment? And then an adjustment can actually come in from her side, but it isn't, but it's just her saying like, hey, would you slow down a little? Or
It's me
um,
listening to my body's like subtle ask of what I want to feel more of, or what I want a little like what I want to um rather than like can you do it this way, which would be me controlling, but instead it's like, can I have less pressure? Or like, will you slow down with your left hand?
Right. And I think a lot of you probably do this when you go and open the fridge and you have no idea what you want to eat or what's in there. Okay. You open the fridge and you just ask yourself, what do I want to eat right now? Okay. That's kind of like often there's more of that intuitive, like inquiring into myself that is actually there. Okay. But what's missing is the next step where I actually then take the meal. I close my eyes and I'm like, I wanted strawberries, and now I'm like just tasting them, and I feel the texture on my face, and I feel the texture in my mouth, and I feel the flavor of it, and I'm actually so present with every single flavor that is unfolding and revealing itself to me. That's the last step that's missing on the in the picture, and we cannot actually be in that if we are goal oriented. But that's the desire. That's the desire is the experience itself. And that's really important. That's really, really important. So I would say the homework, okay, today for you guys and for anyone who's listening to this call is to pick and choose. Let's say the man. The man picks and chooses the experience based on what he wants. Okay. And you, as the man, hold it. You hold it as a man. You're gonna create the experience. Let's say whether it's in bed or whether it's somewhere else, you make 100% sure that this thing is happening. Not asking her if she wants this, just like, here, this is what I have to offer. And you have an open door for her to basically just come in and join you inside of this. And then to go along and play inside that experience and simply, with the permission that you do everything entirely wrong, that you make mistakes, that she might be like, oh, I fucking hated this. And that's okay. Even if you don't like the experience, it's actually part of it.
I want to say something to the women about this homework. So, this is a great example of surrendering to your partner's leadership. And I want to say that surrender is not a passive experience. Surrender is actively staying engaged and open to what is happening, even if you do not like it. That doesn't mean like accept violation and take something that's hurting and don't say anything. It means stay open to a new sensation, an uncomfortable sensation, something that your head says, "Oh, I don't like doing that." Stay open to the feeling. Get curious with your body. It doesn't mean that you can't make adjustments and say like, could you go slower, or um can you move your hand a little bit to the left? You can make specific adjustments of desires that are coming up for you in the moment. But it's also active in that you are having a willingness to be with what arises in yourself and in your partner and what is arising between the two of you. And there is a magic, let me tell you, if you've never experienced this, a magic in allowing something to be what it is without trying to change it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful experience to surrender to your partner's leadership, surrender to your man's leadership, and surrender to what is arising between your bodies is co-arising, even if your head doesn't agree.
Right, because it might be uncomfortable in the beginning because you are so used to be inside the logistics all the time, where we are like, what shall we do next? What's our problem that we are facing right now? To actually like, that is not gonna just switch off by itself. You're gonna have an experience, and your head wants to control the situation,
Yeah.
and your head will question like, what is happening? Why are we doing this? Like, am I looking good? Will I like do this right? And all of those things. And really the challenge of this homework is to watch all of this and watch it fade away.
Get to the other side
Get
of
to the other
the
side.
judgments and the thoughts and the things that block you from actually feeling what is arising in the desire.
Yeah. This is not an easy homework. Like this is the homework of a lifetime, basically.
Yeah.
Um
Should we take some questions?
Yes. There was something missing, and I'm sure
It'll pop up.
it will come
Yeah.
up, yeah.
Time container?
Ah, yes, awesome. So there is, for an experience like this, it is a good idea to have some outlines, because most of you won't feel immediately safe inside
To
of.
surrender indefinitely without knowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's good is like a time container is a great start to just simply say like, hey, like I wanna, and pick something simple, because I'm sure many of you men out there have like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like create this outstanding shibari session, and like I'm going to do it in a like special hotel, and then in Bali or whatever, and then you find yourself like trying to order tickets and you blow already out because already that challenge is too difficult. So I would say do it very simple. Start with something very simple, okay? Like it, let's say go with the example of shibari, because that's something I really like. Like then start with simply like, hey, 15 minutes, that's the time container. Okay, we do this for 15 minutes. Would you sit down for 15 minutes here on the couch right now? Or like if she's like, no, not right now, in half an hour. Okay, in half an hour for 15 minutes, and I just want to actually like put a handcuff on you with rope. Okay, and then we'll just sit and like sit with the feeling of it. And then the timer goes off, like literally, like use a timer, like use your phone, time 15 minutes. When it's 15 minutes, it's over. You're like, that's it, done. Okay. Or you could be like, hey, I want you to suck my cock for 10 minutes, and just simply ask for that. And then have 10 minutes of that where you fully like experience this, or sucking her pussy, or whatever it is that you would like to, where you would like to try this. I don't want to tell you what to do, because I'm sure there's some sensational thing that actually like turns you really on. That is that is a desire that you have been carrying around with you. Um, I really like this exercise. If you don't know what it is, okay, then write a list, right on top of the list. This is what I'm hungry for. Set a time container for yourself for 10 minutes, okay? Put a pen to paper. Don't stop writing and just write. I'm hungry. You have on top, I'm hungry for, and then strawberries. A ride in the car, just by myself with music. Uh, dig a hole in the garden and put a tree in it, and so on and so on. And don't stop until the timer goes off, and you will realize there's some stuff that you've been carrying around with yourself that you haven't let yourself have, or you have started to believe that you can't have it, or it's impossible with your partner. Um, ah, and here's the here's the last part that I have to squeeze out of my brain right now. It's like there at the tip of my tongue. Um, like if we are in this, oh, it's gone. It's gone. It will come. Okay. Any questions so far?
I wouldn't say I have any questions coming up. Just wish that we were actually together. Try it. Gotta wait a week.
You will be in the next few weeks, right?
Yeah, next Thursday night, they leave, so they'll be here
Okay.
in a week.
You can
Yeah,
build
we're getting so
some
close.
yearning.
Yeah,
Definitely
I would
feel
say
it building in this call.
Okay.
there's always a reason that our brain presents us why we cannot do that, why we cannot be in our desire. There it comes, it's coming back. And it's going again. What the hell is happening? There's always a reason why we think we can't really be in our desire. there. And especially for women, okay? Like Sasha had this desire where she's like, I want a new iPhone, okay? And this is often with material desires. It's where with material desires where it goes haywire, okay? We like, I want a new desire, and then the thing is, scarcity comes in, okay? Scarcity of time, scarcity of money, scarcity of um things that are impossible, right? Like you, for example, wow, we are in different locations, so it doesn't work. And we use those things, okay? Desire comes up in any shape or form, whether it's a new iPhone or whether it's like, I would like to feel connected to you. And then my response, especially as a man, I often have this response because as a man, I'm like, I feel like it's my responsibility to bring the money in. I feel like it's my responsibility to hold the container and the structure of everything. Okay, I have like all these responsibilities. And what I respond to is like, we can't afford that right now. Okay? And what happens, especially for women, is the story comes in that says, oh, I'm too much, or oh, he doesn't care, or oh, he doesn't approve of it.
Yeah, can I give another example of this? You finish your thought, and I want to share another example of this.
And I'm encouraging you to be really aware. I don't want to like tell you that you have to be a yes to everything. Like that's not what this is. But what I want you to be aware of is, again, desire is not the outcome. Desire is not the material thing that is waiting like the gold pot at the end of the rainbow for you. There is no outcome really guaranteed ever. The outcome always going to lead to frustration if you expect that to be the case. But you got to be aware of the energy of desire, which again is like connection, being there, being expressed, okay, is also one major desire. I want to be expressed, and I want the freedom to be expressed. So if I am a no to all of these things, and I like immediately respond with like a sharp no, what I'm doing is I am actually harming the energy of desire, and I'm like, I'm squashing it, okay? Rather than, and this is really where it comes in, where we have to be gentle and caring for desire of anybody, whether that's our children or our partner or our friends, where you're like, oh yeah, you want a new iPhone? Interesting, okay, like I don't really have the money right now for that, but like let's see how we can make that happen, okay? Like let's talk about how we can like move towards it. And it has an entirely different feel all of a sudden to it. And this is the thing, it's like the scarcity, watch out for it, because desire doesn't care whether you are right now living across the globe, or whether you are poor or whatever it is, okay? Sasha and I had in the beginning a long distance relationship, and I lived in the UK and she lived in the United States. Huge time difference, huge space difference, huge cost involved in order to see each other. And still, I remember how massively connected we felt at that time. Like I literally woke up and I had like downloads of what was happening for Sasha in her day while I was sleeping. Like this, that's how connected we were. Like we literally had experiences of like having thoughts be transmitted across the ocean without an electronical device. And that's how connected you can feel no matter how far apart you are.
I wanted to give an example of this from the woman's side, and just around what the language I would use for this is, there's a place where we kill our own desire and we withhold sharing desire from our partners because we are so paralyzed and afraid of what their response is going to be. They're not going to like it, and I will just annihilate my desire and pretend it doesn't exist, rather than like being that I would not want to be the woman who is too much, that wants too much. And so rather than acknowledging just how much hunger and desire I have, I will collapse it and shut it down and kill it in myself, before I even speak it aloud, I won't even give him a chance to say what he thinks about it or weigh in or be connected to it or feel me inside of being connected to that desire. And the example that came up in my mind when you were talking just now was we were traveling, we were on the road a couple years ago, and I wanted to replace these earrings that are in my ear. And I had the same earring in my ear for a long time. And I was like, I want to change and I want these gold earrings, real gold, because I have sensitive ears and I wanted real gold. Like, who cares why? Like, this is just the thing that I wanted. And we went together into the jewelry shop and bought the earrings, and it was more money than we both thought it was going to be. It was just more expensive. And we did it. I bought the earrings and I had them put in my ear, and then, like, I don't know if it was the next day or a few days later, we basically had an argument about the earrings and about the money we had spent and about um I don't even remember exactly what happened in the argument, but my immediate reaction to what was coming up between us was I wanted to, like, yank the earrings out. These are not earrings that you can easily take out. You need to have like a tool to open them. I wanted to, like, yank the jewelry out of my ear and like just give back, put back, undo what I had done, because the feeling of like
Guilt.
my desire caused this like fuck up, guilt, shame, this like ugly spot, this disconnection in our relationship. I wanted to just like, I wanted to get it off. I wanted to like physically get it away from me. And I felt so, I was making my desire so wrong in that moment, and feeling like if I could just undo this and give it back, that would like fix the disconnection. And we do this as women. We step into, if I can just want less. If you think about like diet culture, right? We culturally, there's a normalization of rewarding ourselves for being small. I can't remember the exact words, but I think Glennon Doyle speaks to this in one of her books that she's written really well, around how much we like shut down any access to what we want because we just don't want to be the woman who wants too much, is too much, asks for too much. And so we have a like pre-patterned conditioning almost that says like don't have needs and wants and desires. And so the relationship that we have with our own desire tends to swing in that direction, where I was of like collapsing, shutting down, like pushing down desire. And what happens if you do that over and over again over a long period of time is it really changes your ability to hear desire and your ability to be open to receiving anything from your partner, any love, any connection, any of the things that you want. Because there's so much energy that goes into the shutting down of our own desire, the annihilation of our own desire. And it's just, it shuts down connection, basically. Like, I'm looking for fancier words, but I don't need them. It really just shuts down connection between the thing that we actually want is just to be that connected to this person who's here in front of us that we've chosen to have, a life with, to create with, to grow with. And so I just wanted to acknowledge like the feeling and the experience as a woman of the courage it takes to acknowledge, to hear your desire, to express desire, knowing that we don't get every desire we say out loud. That's not the point of expressing desire, but it is critical to the relationship between us that I express what I want and I do it consistently and I don't kill my own desire.
Right. And again, I want to iterate on this point. You might not get the outcome, but the quality of what you desire is achievable always.
Yeah.
Okay. It's instant, it's possible to manifest it instantly. So here's the second part of the homework. The first homework, what I'm hungry for, is for the men. Okay. That's the men's homework. What I'm hungry for, 10 minutes, and then write down what it is. Okay. And you are responsible for this thing. Okay. Now here's the one for the women.
Wait, the homework is also for them to hold the scene and
Yeah, you hold having this thing. You hold making that thing happen.
You write your list, you choose one thing on your list
Yeah.
that you want to do with your partner, and you set a time container and you hold making that happen.
Yeah. Of course, you like ask for consent. I
Yes.
want to be doing this now. Are you a yes or a no? Okay. If she's a no, just like bring it up another day. Okay. Try it again. Actually make this happen. Don't blame her for like not giving this thing to you.
Yeah.
Now for the women, okay, for you, the homework is this. You write a list too. But what you write on the top is I desire. Okay. And then you write your list. Same style, 10 minutes, pen to paper. Okay. What I would like you to do if you are courageous and if you want to test your trust to your man is you read it to him. You read it to him, and all he does is say thank you. Okay. And what I want the men to listen for as you're listening to your woman's desire, there's going to be a part of you in you that is like, well, that's not possible. Well, that is not going to happen. Well, how am I supposed to do that? Okay. I want you to step past that by listening for what the quality of each desire is that is in the present moment. Okay. So if she says, I want to like be in the movies with you and I want to like have a holiday with you in the Bahamas, okay, whatever it is, and you're like, your brain is gonna be like, well, I can't afford a holiday in the Bahamas. I don't even have money for a movie ticket for you, like who's gonna pay for the dinner, all of that kind of stuff. Who's gonna pay for the bill? Okay, I want you to step past that and feel for what is the underlying quality of what she actually
Let's
desires.
do an example for them. I'll say desires and you say the quality.
Go for it.
Okay, I want to have a second car.
Okay, thank you. What else?
I want to have a second space, like a yurt or something that we can spend time in and like have things that belong to me that have a place to stay out.
Thank you. What else?
I want a haircut.
Thank you. Okay, great. So all of these desires weren't actually about me at all. I could think about like, oh God, like she wants me to buy her a car. I can't afford a car. Oh my God, she wants a yurt. I can't afford to build a yurt and all of that stuff. Really what she wants is like the car points towards she wants to have more autonomy. Okay, like we are only having one car and like we constantly have to share it, and she probably feels like she can't fully unfold what she wants to do in her life right now because she's depending on that one car. So she wants to have more autonomy and more ability to actually like be free and like have her own space. She wants to have that yurt because she wants to have her own space. And also she has a desire to be more expressed, okay? Be more expressed. And the way Sasha likes to express herself is by like wearing clothes. Okay, all of these things cost money and I don't freaking have money, but this is where men get fooled these days, where they're like, oh God, I can't have a girlfriend because I like all these women expect me to pay for everything. They don't actually. It's just where you get fooled on it. But it's like I can just sit here. Oh, I hear that you want to like, it sounds to me like you want to feel more expressed and have more autonomy. Is that right?
Yeah. Thank you for hearing me.
Yeah.
And
And I can say like I want that for you too. Okay,
that feels great.
I
Thank
want
you.
that for you too. And again, like I don't know how to make that happen right now, but I want that for you.
And I want to name that, like, when you start to do these things as a practice and you get in relationship with this together, it does actually take you in steps that will lead to having the material thing, because you both get into relationship with the autonomy that's desired, with the freedom that's desired. And how do we create that now? Okay, we're not going to go buy a brand new vehicle tomorrow, but like we are taking steps on the path of like what's really right and what's true and what's in service to the highest good for both of us is going to manifest if we can bring our attention to how we want to feel and what's underneath that. And like, we had a practice for months of writing desires every day and sharing them with each other. And many of them have manifested in their actual form and are continuing to manifest in actual form. And it doesn't always feel in real time like it's happening or it's coming, but like it does change how you create in the material world when you can be in relationship with what you want to feel. And it's not just woo woo, like I'll just meditate on it and then it will just like poof appear in my living room or my driveway. But it's like that truly being in the energy of desire, making your choices from desire instead of from fear, shifts the way that we live. And I mean, if you had told us a year ago that we would manifest 7.5 acres with a creek on it in the place where we want to live in under a year, we both would have been like, the haha, that's hilarious, right? And it's like leaning into the energy of desire, taking on this desire writing practice regularly that had us create something that we didn't, both of our cortexes would have said, that's too much, we can't afford it, that's impossible, right? And the truth is, we did create it. And it did come from being in relationship with the desire, leaning into it, and trusting, a lot of fucking trust, I have to say.
And so if you are really attentive, I want to briefly talk about the conflicting desires, okay? If you're really attentive and you as a man, like listen to this, because I think that most men don't actually know what they really want, okay? Most men run around thinking they want a lot of money and like fame and all that kind of stuff, but it's actually, again, like that's a hungry ghost. Like most men that have a lot of money want more money after that. And most men who have fame are still not happy with the fame that they have and they want to grow more fame after that. So that's, again, that's a hungry ghost. But what I can distill from listening to her desires, okay, it's like she wants a car, she wants a yacht, she wants all these things, and inside me is a part that is like, okay, that freaks out because there's a conflicting desire inside me that is like, I don't want to be paying for all of this stuff. Now listen to that one, because for me, it took a really long time where I was like, I thought I need to be the big man, okay? I thought I need to be like the big guy who's famous and have a lot of money in order to make all of these things happen, because otherwise my wife won't be happy and then she won't fuck me and all of that kind of stuff. But the truth is, okay, and it took me really long to get this, is I don't want to compromise my own freedom by providing everything that she's throwing at me. Because if I was a slave to her desire to make everything happen, I would be in debt, I would be broke, I would be not feeling safe, okay? And those would compromise my desire to feel what? Safe, okay? To feel free, to feel able to like move in my life the way I want. Okay, so that's why it's like it's not your job to immediately manifest these things, but I can acknowledge that she wants autonomy and self-expression, and at the same time I'm like, great, I'm a healthy boundaried person. I'm not gonna go into debt for you having this immediately. But which a lot of people do. That's how a lot of young couples get into a lot of financial trouble. They want to please each other and then they go into debt for each other. But I say like, no, I have a boundary here and I celebrate your desire. How can we have this in a way that feels healthy? I'm acknowledged in my desire to be safe and free and not in debt and in trouble, and for you to have this thing. So then we starting to look at a sustainable growth of desire and what you want in your life in partnership. Okay, and that's really what this is all about. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and we're gonna stop recording here, but if our participants have a particular question now, let us know.
Are we gonna do you want me to stop it?
I was kind